Hi everyone, my name is Nicola Wood. I'm founder of Easi. Welcome to our podcast. Today we're going to be talking about Instagram and the power of Instagram when it comes to education. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's helpful, whether it's not. So we're going to start off with Sam. Sam, can you just explain a little bit more about what happens when your students come to you, they've booked on a course and they've done all the prep on Instagram, so they know most of it already and they feel like they're an expert before they start. Does that ever happen with you?
Yes, I definitely feel like it happens a lot. And, social media is amazing. I love it. I use it a lot. But definitely, I think sometimes you see something and you want to replicate it. But really, there's so many more steps that go into that. So I always say, sometimes students will come in and they want to run before they can walk. So it's always nice, you have to go back to basics. You have to have an understanding of, if you're doing weft, how to section, how to bead, learn the basic way of stitching that weft in first, and then you can go into more advanced techniques. So I think it's really important to manage people's expectations. And then I'll always be like, sure, give it a try, but let's start with the basics. And then the minute they do that, they're like, oh, this is really hard. I'm like, it is hard. So I try and bring people back down to earth a little bit.
Absolutely.
We were chatting earlier about like how certain courses that I run, there's an entry level, especially with the mesh integration. It is a very difficult method to learn and anybody will teach you that. And I have the most confident hair extension specialists walk into my academy and it's time for practical and they are like instantly humbled at how hard it actually is, and are like, you make it look so easy online and it's not. It takes years and years, and that's why I feel like certain courses need to have an entry stage and like experience before you can do it, because they think just watching a couple of videos on Instagram they're like, oh, that looks easy, I can do that. And it's not until they get down to like the hairline I need to prepare them for it. I'm like, this is the hardest part of your training, but once we're through this, like, we'll get cracking. I was like, but really just like take your time. And they're on that like doll's head and they're like, wow, like this is so difficult. So I think a lot of people are instantly kind of humbled when they do certain courses.
Sorry, Jackie. I think that's a difficult part as well, because you all do make it look so easy. Yeah. When you see it under the hood and you see that method being taught and you see, you see how easy you fit because you're so good at what you do. They come in then and they think, oh, actually, I can do this now. I already know what I'm doing. But, they don't understand what's gone on.
The thing is with Instagram, like, there's such short videos, aren't they? And when you're editing on CapCut, you have to edit all these hours of work into like, well, shorter the better, and you can get it under 10 seconds. That's even better. But it's just it looks so easy and so quick and, satisfying. But when they actually get going with actually doing it in real life, they're like, oh, this is actually more difficult than what they thought it was going to be. But yeah.
I don't know if anyone's noticed, especially with teaching, how many people have said to me, oh, I've been doing tapes for the last 6 years, but I'm not accredited in the salon. And I'm like, sorry, what? Yeah. And they're like, so can I come and do a course? And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like, they have been doing extensions for 6 years to God knows how many people. They're not even accredited. They haven't even done a course. And now they want one, obviously, for like insurance reasons or anything. And when they come in and they show me how they do it, I think, oh my gosh, this is so bad. They've been doing this on people for years and years, and you have to unteach bad habits, and they're actually the harder ones to teach, and they're the ones that have watched Girls in the Salon or videos on Instagram.
And it's those poor clients. It's the clients that these people are working on day in, day out, that they're getting a really bad service.
I think it's one of them as well, that when people go on courses, they straight away after realise actually how hard it is on social media to grow, or to even get yourself seen by other people. Like, you can learn by the best, and you know exactly what you think you're doing, but to be able to get the clients in, it's a lot of graft before you get to that point of people just finding you. And I think like it is so easy to be seen on social media now that people think that just comes and it's not just easy. And I think that's a different part of it, where it's like you need to learn the method and learn how to do it. But I think what isn't seen or talked about enough is the social media side of it, of how long it takes people to get these accounts to where they have been on, how the hard work is. And when you start an account now, if I opened up a brand new Instagram now, it would just have naught, just like I did 13 years ago or however long Instagram. So I think it's that different side of it as well.
And something that's quite inspiring, and this is like something that's personally happened to me, all it takes is one video. One video has changed my business like 360.
Definitely, I agree with
Like, and I think don't beat yourself up if your views are only getting like 300 views or like 2 likes. Keep going with it. Keep consistent with it. Don't worry about what everybody else is doing and comparing your content to their content because they're not you. Do you know? So
someone to me was like, okay, you've got 300 or even 1,000 views on a video, but imagine 300 people stood in a room watching what you're doing. Like, you'd be so happy with that. So even 10, I'd be happy with 10 people. So like, just don't think about the numbers so much. As long as you're happy with the contents put out there, that video in 6 months could go mad. Just because it's out there today, it doesn't matter. It's out there forever now.
That happened to me with TikTok. I had like a week of uploading videos and they only got about 200-300 views each video. And I was like, what is going on? And then I looked back and all of them were like 20-something thousand, 30-something. And they were from ages ago. And I beat myself up so much about the views on them. And I thought, was it not good enough content? Do I need to learn more? You know, with my Instagram, sometimes my views go down, sometimes they go up. And you can really like go through this rigmarole of that was rubbish, maybe I'm not being seen enough, what can I do? And now I just post and I don't really care. I'll just post and then one will get really good views, the other one won't. And I'll get messages from my students who will say, oh, how do you do that? And what can I do? And I'm like, listen, hun, I'm wondering the same. I ask my friends, I'm like, you need to help me because this is like getting too much now. I just can't get to the views I want.
And the algorithm changes. Instagram plays with you big time. So like, don't beat yourself up. Let's try. Like, you can follow the trends. You can use the trend in sound. You can use whatever the captions. But the algorithm is always changing, and it always like you think you've got it, and then it pulls you back. You know, it's. I think.
TikTok. TikTok's horrendous.
Yeah.
It's fine with like reels though, the ones you put in like a lot of work in with it, you think, oh, that'll do well, and it actually doesn't. And the ones that you put like zero effort in, and they just go really well, and you're like,
10 seconds.
make sense of that. It doesn't. Yeah, it's weird.
And like, if you're in doubt, I say this to the girls in the salon who they're just. I think they're trying to initially get over that fear of putting themselves out there. Like, that's the hardest part, is putting yourself out there. Don't care about what anybody else is. No one else is your business. No one else does what you do. Just get over the fear of putting yourself out there, and then amazing things can happen from it. Check your insights. Like I say to the girls, you know what, like one of the girls done for the first time a talk over on our day going to the salon, and she got great insights. I'm like, post more of that, you know. So if you're in doubt, people like to see you.
I read somewhere that they want you to be like almost on every third post to do well, because they want to know the person behind the content. Keep posting just back photos of hair, like no one knows who that is. Like they want to know who you are, who's doing it, and more about what you're, you know, who you are.
Well, it's one of them now. At the start of the year, before I started posting, I was like, well, they're going to see me when I come in the salon anyway. They're going to see like what I look like, so why am I hiding? Like, they're going to see me on good days and bad days, and so it doesn't really matter.
I think it's just a fear of judgment. It's a fear of judgment, but like, who's judging you? Like the mum at the school run. Like,
if they are judging, then you don't want to know.
Exactly. Like, who cares? Like, really, who cares? Definitely.
Yeah, 100%. So would you say that it's helpful, you know, when going back to education, when you've got your students coming in, would you say it's helpful for you to have your content that you're putting on there to give them an insight into who you are as educators, so that they can see what you actually do? Or would you rather they didn't watch what you did? Do you find it helps or it hinders?
Oh, it helps, it's trust building.
Teaching, your teaching style, the way you talk, the way that you fit. People like that. You know, I've had messages where I said, I've just watched your video and the way you explained it just cracked it for me. You know, I'd love to book. And I'm like, perfect. I've just got myself a new student. Obviously, you don't want to share too much. And it is, you know, I have had comments before. It's like, what do I get different to what you put on your Instagram? And I'm like, so much more. You know, you learn so much more, but obviously we're going to put lots of little snippets of things because we've got to be content creators as well.
And it's balance, isn't it? I think it's how much do you show them and how much do you keep till...
It's such a fine line.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I'm an oversharer.
Oh, me too, girl. Me too.
Take all. But I think it's that element of if you're trying to build a personal brand, like you need to be showing yourself. People. I feel like people invest in you as a person, you know, and it's like never let your ego get too much, you know. No matter how successful you get, no matter how well you get, like stay humble with it, stay authentic with it.
Yeah.
And
absolutely.
It's like what Sam was saying earlier, like people want to learn from you, like rather than the brand. Like I used to do all these courses with all these big brands, but that doesn't really say anything about me working with them. But like when I say I work with so-and-so, like it actually does well in learning from that person, and I learn a lot more techniques from that person that I did that course with rather than the brand. Does that make sense?
yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Have you ever booked a course with somebody because you've seen their Instagram and you've thought, actually they do something a little bit different to what I do, I'd like to go on their course and see how they've done that?
Yeah, lots.
I think that's how it always works for me anyway. Like I'm only going to go on a course that I feel like I'm really going to connect with that person, and I'm going to feel like I am going to understand the way they teach, and I'm going to learn what I want from it. I think I'm really going to suss them out before I book on. It's not just a generic course. I'm actually going on it because it's someone that I actually really like the way they look, of the way they do things.
How does that work in America, Sam?
It's huge here. Yeah, I think a lot of, even for me, when I'm booking courses here, a lot of the time it's just what I see other people doing. Like one of my friends, she just took a course, and I messaged her and I said, did you like it? What did you take away from it? Because her and I are like the same level. So I was like, was it worth it? It's a really expensive course. It was a $3,000 course. And I was like, I want to do it, but is it a good investment? And she was like, honestly, yeah. And she kind of told me about it. So I booked on it purely because I saw her doing it. And then the same, like if I like an educator, I like their style of teaching, something is different than what I'm doing, I always like to go on it. Even if it's just like an online thing, I feel like I always try and do like a course a month. And then even if I'm not taking anything away from it in terms of the extensions, I'm taking something away from it in terms of like the teaching style. How are they teaching? How are they introducing themselves? And then that way I can kind of like put that into my teaching, my way of doing things. Even like I saw Emily's video with the nano weft, and now I'm like, oh, I want to do that. Like I haven't seen that before. That hasn't hit the US yet. So I think it's really nice to see, you know, what the UK is doing, what the US is doing, and how we can like fuse that together as well.
Absolutely. There you go, Emily. You're over in America now. You're a global educator. I think especially with just recently, because obviously we've all started connecting a lot more on Instagram because we knew today was coming. I've been watching what everyone's doing on their Instagram stories. I've been watching what you're doing because you've all got your own styles on stories. How do you feel it differs from what goes on the grid to what you're putting on your stories?
I feel like I just like to give value. You know, if somebody can take away 1% of something and they learn a tiny snippet of something, then it's providing value. So I always like to just give away.
And how much you share on your stories, would you say?
I share quite a lot, yeah.
Mine's
I like
more personal. Like it's my life, my story.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Mine's just more, I feel like my student transformations. Like I just get so buzzing about it. Like when they message and I'm like, I've changed someone's life today, I'm like, oh, like, you know, it's like I just love sharing that because I just think what an achievement, like you did that. Do you realise like how amazing you are? Like it's just I just think it's so empowering to share that. It's amazing.
So me, it's my son. I feel like I share Alfie a lot on my stories, and I'll post like me. So like what were you talking about earlier about personal branding? That's something I'm working on because I went to an event and no one knew who I was. But if I show like my hands, they know my hands and they know my nails. But I'm like, oh yeah, hi. I'm hair. They're like, oh, it's you. So I'm like working on that. So I do that on my stories. I'm really good on my stories, like my face, a day in the life, what I'm doing today, Alfie, personal stuff. And then my grid is very much me. So then I'm like, okay, I need to try and find a way to like fuse that together, you know, and put that on my grid. Because I noticed that a lot recently. I'm like, oh, they only know my hands. They don't know that it's like a body, you know?
It's like Sarah Page and those nails. Like I'm obsessed. Like her nails are the best. I don't know how she works with them, but like if it works for her, they are amazing. And it's funny because everybody knows her for her nails, don't they?
As soon as you see one of her posts, you stop, don't you?
Oh, you stop.
Sarah
Like
knows
that's
nails.
Sarah Page. Yeah. Oh, I know. She's so good.
I think stories are really something I never used to use as much as I do now, and I've started to really, like you say, Emily, just like be more personal on them. Like it is just me, like, and it's quite raw and it's not perfect. It might be greasy hair day, like still in my pajamas or anything like that. But I think it does give that level of like what you're going to get when you come to see me, and I think it makes everyone realise like you're just a normal person. Like it's kind of whether you're coming to me for me to do your hair or to educate you, like I'm someone's daughter. I'm someone's. Do you know what I mean? I'm just someone. I'm just someone. Like it's not.
I find you get treated better as well, because I used to just get messages like, how much? Book in, book me. And now it's like, hi Em, hope you're well. And I'm like, oh, she knows who I am. Because she's probably seen me have a meltdown at a school pickup or something. But I like that now, because when people used to message, I think they just thought we were just a computer. And it's like, no, there is someone that's replying to these messages. You need to like be polite and not just, I don't reply to these kind of messages anymore, to rude messages.
But I also think it's absolutely fine if you don't want to be that kind of if you don't want to show that kind of side of it. I think if you want to show you, but in a business kind of aspect, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to go into showing your home life and everything like that. I think it's important that people don't feel pressured to be that kind of way.
People love people being vulnerable as well, because it makes you, you know, we're in a forever word. The minute you start scrolling, you're like, compare, oh, she's got her shit together, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, it makes you feel horrible. You know what I mean? So I think it's nice to see a bit of vulnerability as well. If, like you say, you learn from your failures, Sam, what you were saying earlier. You can't fail, you never fail. Failure's always growth. So, you know, I think that's important to get that point across as well.
I saw one last week that you shared, Leanne, and it was just so powerful. You were absolutely knackered. You've been in the salon all day. You told everybody on camera that you were knackered, but you had something to tell everybody, so you got your story across. You did not care that you were knackered and you were there in your sweatshirt and you know you were in your clothes.
I think it's just being like that is life. Like, do you know what I mean? I'm not trying to hide anything. Like, I am always, like you said, I'm an oversharer. Like, I tell too much sometimes, but I think people I think they like it. Like,
people are nosy. I mean, I'm nosy, and I love seeing what people are up to and what they're doing with their day-to-day life. Like, what are they eating? I don't know. I feel like then when people come in and they have their hair done, or like I'm again educating, it's like it breaks the ice a little bit, because they might just bring up something that you put on your story the other day of just being like, oh God, I saw you did a long day the other day, or this, that and the other. So it just also helps with conversation when you've got your client in your chair. Like, you talk about, they'll be like, oh, I saw you went to that course, and they'll be like, and then you go into detail about it, and they like seeing what you're up to, and like especially attending courses for myself. Like, I love enrolling myself on courses. I might already come away and thinking I knew that technique anyway, but there's always something you do learn. And like Sam said earlier, it is teaching methods. Sometimes you think, oh, I like how that teaching style, I'm going to try and bring that into my own work. So
yeah, absolutely. Anybody want to add anything on Instagram? We happy there? We've had a great little round up there. I think we've covered most things, haven't we? Really lovely, really powerful as well, because I think it's also important to share as much of this as we can, just so that people can see how we feel about things. And as busy mums and as busy hair extension specialists, and you know, there's so much going on out there, being that vulnerable and putting yourself out there for everybody to see, like you said, it's a person that they can see then. So Sam, can't wait to see some more of yours. Let's get you on your grid.
Oh, I know. I need to, I'm so bad. I feel like I'm my own worst critic though, and we all probably are, right? But now I'm seeing everybody doing it, and I'm like, you know what? I need to just do it. Who cares? I started to do it more with YouTube. I just started a YouTube, and it's all me, and I'm doing interviews, and I've had like some really nice comments, and then still you have the negative, but I'm like, you know what? Who cares? I just have to go for it. And if you like me, and if you think that my bronzer is too heavy or whatever, like, sorry. Someone put a comment on my YouTube and they were like, oh my God, you need to fire your makeup artist. And I was like, oh, I am my makeup artist. But I don't let it get to me. And my son humbles me every day. So I'm like, you know what? You cannot be worse than a 3-year-old. So I'm good.
I mean, I don't know about you, but we find with Hairmade Easy's Instagram and on TikTok as well, we find that the American audience is much more brutal. It just
they are savage. They are
savage.
There is no filter ever. It's just whatever they're thinking. It's there and it's for everybody to see.
Yeah. They leave so much just uncalled for comments. I have people I remember I always post, like the thread. I'll do the red thread for education. Like, we all know I'm not sewing in someone's weft with a red thread. Like, come on. But they'll be like, oh, why are you using a red thread? Oh, surely you should match the thread to the client's base color. And I'm like, yeah, but you can see the stitch more clearly. And then I'll go through all the comments and reply. And I'm like, you know what? If they don't get it by now, I don't think they're ever going to get it.
It's engagement. That's all I look at it. Like,
Some of mine are like the salon girls are like, I just go through your Instagram comments purely for entertainment, because my recent one, you should see the comments. And I just sit, and you've got to be okay with it, because just because they're disagreeing with what you do, like, you've just got to be like, that's fine. Like, if that's what you think, but if you have full belief in what you're doing and you've made that client happy, then that's all that matters. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, some of the comments I've got on mine are absolutely brutal. Like, I'm like, do you think before you speak? Like, but yeah, you've just got to ignore it. Don't take it to heart.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks, ladies. That was a really good topic. I really enjoyed that one.
Me too.
Guys.